wonderfully gifted at balance. You don't let your own personality lead a perception. Do you know what I mean? It's okay, look, this is what I saw.
Right.
Now you can, instead of saying, okay, this is what I saw and this means this, okay? And that's a wonderful balance. And sometimes Julius can do that too. You know, they have, there's a personality there with Julius. I think you can kind of see a little bit of that. They are, when they were physical, their last physical life, they were warriors and rulers. So they've got a, let's go, you know what I mean, type of attitude. And we've had to have long conversations about them tempering things down a little bit.
And how long have you been interceding
Channeling
with them?
Julius since 2008.
Okay.
Brad had a massive car accident.
Brett?
Yeah, he has a brain injury that should have left him completely incapacitated. And Julius worked with him to refire new components of his brain.
Okay.
But Julius is actually the group that Brad had an interaction with during his near-death experience. And who Julius calls Brad, because he calls Brad another name.
Confuse that with me.
Yeah.
Says by name.
Yeah. And when we
more than one Brad.
And we used, information now about the two of them.
Right.
You could see the life that they were in. So then that got really interesting. So then, of course, we started, and the character of Brad at that time looks like Brad now. So you're like, oh my God, I mean, Sue and I were doing this, okay?
Yeah.
And then it's trailing off to this wife, and maybe that's who Sue is, and maybe that's who I am, okay? But Brad had a brain injury in that life and died. And I'm like, isn't that interesting, okay? The brain injury thing. But over the years, we have found that even if we're sitting there watching you on Ancient Aliens or something, all of a sudden Julius starts going, and this is right and this is wrong, and they've got this, and and then Brad will turn the recorder on, and then he'll just they're out. And so that becomes, well, not really fun for me because I never get to watch a program, an episode of Ancient Aliens with any form of comprehension. But the inner earth, the component of the inner earth, is a great conversation, and Julius is pinging in my ear, pinging. Okay, but I think that we are missing. I think things are multidimensional. I know that you know that too, and I think that there is a calibration where everything aligns and works together, and then it uncalibrates itself, and there's only pieces left. So then when you find the pieces, you can't figure out where the linkage is until something gets calibrated and fall like a puzzle. Do you know what I mean? Watching that Da Vinci Code, when he had that weird puzzle at the end, I'm like, what the fuck is that? And I'm like, oh my God, he's calibrating dimensions. They're calibrating dimensions, okay? Yeah. And so when I look at artifacts or watching your presentation yesterday was really interesting for me. Cool. Because those are the things that Julius starts, kind of coding me with. This is from this dimension, and what he's showing over here is from this dimension. So there's a point of entry on the surface that you have spoken of. There are many points of entries under the water's surface. So each layer, if you will, let's say each mantle component of the Earthship provides 3 different types of dimensional components, okay? And historically, when things exist on the exterior of the Earthship and then they get covered up through catastrophic events and the birthing activity and the expansion and contraction effect, and then there's pieces and there's actions. We support that there are calibrated entry points on the Earth ship. There are things that open those gates, and there's points of closure on those gates. They are not consistently open. There's an electrical grid around the Earthship Master. So the pyramids are creating a gridding system in calibration with celestial patterns and interdimensional grids. So there's a grid around the Earthship, and the pyramids are designed to help create that grid. There are more pyramids inverted than exterior on the Earthship. Okay,
Wow.
and there are more pyramids, of course, underground that you can't see because they're set at different elevations. Those contribute to the openings that occur to travel on the inside of the Earthship. We support that there is like almost a mini Earth that lives on the inside that has an atmospheric condition. It's a very, very similar atmosphere to here, and then you start having mantling effects with other forms of reality in them. To get all the way in completely to the inner Earth component is a state of consciousness and a vibrational component. So there isn't a human that has gone all the way to the full center and then exited out that has a record of any kind. There have been humans that have gone inward into the Earth, but not all the way to the center. That does not mean that it does not exist. And every point of curiosity lines you up energetically and gives you your inspirational thoughts to figure ways and clues. But the inner Earth, every sphere has a hollow point, and there is life on the interior of every spherical planet in this universe. There are forms of life because they were designed to provide physical experiences, not like this physical experience, but they really don't serve everything. Nothing goes insignificant. Nothing goes insignificant where it was useful at one time and then it's not useful, including embodied beings, okay? When you're looking at a third dimensional planet, there is an echoing effect of it, and there's 7 of them on this Earthship. There's 7 that go out and there's 7 that go in. In alignment with the 7 levels of consciousness, those dimensions open also. So those would be components that a third dimensional ocular cavity eye component could see. But dimensions aren't stacked on each other. They're intermingled with each other, okay? You are correct about the military keeping things secrets, of course.